Greetings. Good afternoon, Juneteenth family. Welcome to another weekly Lunch and Learn.
In terms of business, if you have a dream, go for it. Pursue it. Work hard at it, because with anything that you want to do, it's going to come hard work. You know, if you don't put the hard work, if you don't put the time into it, it's not going to flourish the way you want to.
Maybe advice for anybody who's looking to start a business, like just do it. Start off small and then kind of expand. I know sometimes it can be overwhelming, but like once you're in it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this long time ago?
Love you. Tell yourself, I love me too. I love you, Omena. Love you. When you open your heart and your mind, you're opening up to your blessing.
Yeah.
Greetings, and good afternoon, family. Sorry about that. Was over here sharing to my live. Didn't see that the commercial was ending. How are we today? Welcome to another Thursday edition of our weekly Lunch and Learn. Today we have artists and finance, and we're going to find out everything else about Robert when he comes up on the stage. But let's bring Robert Newman up to the stage today. Welcome, Robert. How are you? Also, let me share with you, community, that Robert is also one of our awardees from our Black Kings award ceremony this Juneteenth. And welcome. Good to see you again.
Likewise. Good afternoon, everyone, and glad to be here. Thank you all for having me.
Super. So, Robert, I read so many amazing things about you in your bio. First, I want to start that with the fact that Robert is an HBCU grad. He is a Morehouse alumni. Also started out a career in finance. I would love to start there. I know that you're here to talk about art and the experience of being an African American artist. But we're going to end up there. Let's start by telling the community a little bit about Robert Newman is and Newman the Third, which that carries something. That means that there were two before you. If you feel the need to tell us a little bit, share a little bit about who they were, because I know from whence we came is how we get to where we are. Okay. Share a little bit about yourself, Robert.
Okay. And I mean, to give a bit of a preview to everybody else, I feel like the Morehouse story and the finance background all plays into the artwork that I do now. So I feel like this is a perfect setup. I'm a proud Morehouse graduate. Graduated in the class of 2014. I was a first generation college student. So this idea of, again, being Robert Newman III is very important. Both my father and grandfather are still alive, and we have a lot of time to, connect and really think about like what the difference between each one of our lives and like what we've seen in the generations are. So always make sure that when I can, that suffix is put on there, because again, it's just like you said, giving honor to them. So again, graduated from Morehouse in 2014 and moved to New York immediately thereafter to pursue a career in finance. It was somewhere where I actually never imagined that I'd end up being. At Morehouse, I studied business management. I really thought that I was going to get into consulting. And by the time I got my first internship, it was with a company whose name I actually had never heard of before. Because again, first generation college student, internships, the idea of working during the summer and going out getting jobs and stuff, like all this was still like kind of new to me. So after my internship, I was able to come to the city full time and start off at a company called Morgan Stanley in their finance and accounting department. And after spending about 4 years there, rotating between finance and their wealth management division, I moved over to a smaller asset management firm called Neuberger Berman. And I spent 4 years with them, also working in finance, doing a little bit more heavy analysis and budgeting and forecasting, all the heavy quant stuff that people are scared of, that everybody pretends that they don't understand, but I think we all get it. And then for the last 2 years of my career in finance, I spent that time doing diversity and inclusion work. So really helping to stand up like our internal networks for different community groups, doing programs like panel discussions, senior speaker series, lunch and learns just like this, helping to create like recruiting events for the firm, early exposure programs for the firm to younger students so people knew about finance earlier than when I found out about finance, like when I was already in New York. And yeah, otherwise just making sure that people could bring their authentic self to work. And now I am a full-time artist.
Beautiful. So that's a beautiful segue right there. I'm glad you said that. So that's was my next question. Art. When did art become a passion for you? When did you realize that you had a talent? And how did that come to be? And then share with us just how it fit into the transition from that to the actual art.
Got it. Art has been something that's been a part of my life since like the age of 4. All of my family on my mom's side, on my dad's side, in some way have a skill or two that expresses their creativity. My dad and his dad, they're both people that are good with their hands. So they build, they do a lot of landscaping, contracting work, and both of them are passionate about gardening. As of this summer, I actually picked up the habit and started creating a botanical garden on my roof. So it's the idea of like creating with my hands has always been indoctrinated in me since I was a young man. On my mom's side, there were a lot more creatives on what we think about as traditional art. So dancers, singers, all of my siblings have had to go to band. All of us have learned how to play an instrument, and a few of us have stuck with it. My younger sister's has a background in performance arts. My younger brother is a musician. My older sister, she doesn't stick with it anymore, but she's a dancer. And my grandmother, she was the one who really kind of mentored me throughout my life, so from the age of 4, even up until this day. She was a self-taught porcelain doll maker. So this idea of arts entrepreneurship was, I think, more prevalent than the idea of me being a person that was able to work in a finance company. But I never thought about what it would look like as a career until I got to New York and saw the different ways that art was expressed and the different channels. In my mind, I thought that art was something that I could only see on TV or maybe in a video game or in a museum. And by the time I got to New York and saw it on the streets, in the subway, in the museums, in the offices, and every place that you could turn, I started getting a little bit more passionate about it, and I started like putting more work out there. And in 2016, I was able to have my first actual gallery show. And from there, every year we've just been building it up, and doing more shows.
Wow, what a beautiful blessing. What a beautiful blessing to graduate college in 2014 and to actually become a full-blown artist by 2016, or rather to see that vision. A lot of times it's a very hard thing for people to transition from a corporate career into living their dream as a creative. What gave you that not the confidence, because your artwork, first of all, folks, if you have not gotten a link or figured out where he is, we'll be dropping that in the chat later. But I was on your Instagram earlier and I was completely blown away and honored. You know, when we did the award show, I didn't have a chance and opportunity to look through the list of everyone and what everybody did in the world, and especially for I'm a creative as well. So that art side for me was definitely the pull, but I wasn't able in that time frame to go and check things out. So today when Keisha shared your Instagram link for me, instantly blown away. So really wanting to know what gave you what did it look like? Did you have a support system that helped you? Was it people pouring into you and kind of giving you those accolades, or not accolades, but I don't know. Let me tell you, community, this morning I am a little bit sleepy and my words are just like out there. They're out there in the world. But I love y'all all, and I think y'all love me too, and I love you, Robert. So I think you know what I'm asking you. I think you know what I'm asking.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm gonna put it over to you.
Just again, a point of clarity. I just became a full-time artist about a month ago, but my first time, I guess I started moonlighting as an artist, so I call it like professional artist in 2016. And I think that
I'm sorry, I'm gonna dive in really quickly. Thank you for that clarification, because I actually meant the gallery show, to actually have a gallery showing in 2016. That's major, really, in New York City. I know that that's major.
Got it. Yeah. It was, I would say it was luck more than anything. But because art, like I said, was something that I'd always done, I went into the year in 2016. I remember just knowing that, okay, this year I will create, I will produce. I'm not sure what, I'm not sure where it's going to go or how it's going to work, but I remember writing down a lot of notes, a lot of like business names, a lot of ideas, anything that I could think of, and started drawing, started creating bracelets, started creating jewelry, started taking pictures, started going outside to like Central Park and selling stuff, like anything I could think of to do. Literally, I just, again, started getting busy. And I think maybe around March, a friend of mine reached out that was curating a show over at City College. And they saw one of the pictures that I had posted on my Instagram. And before then, I never posted any of my artwork ever. And again, I've been doing work for my entire life, but this idea of like sharing it with other people was very new to me in 2016. So I think I got lucky in that, again, I started that as a goal in the beginning of the year, and the gallery shows in April, that I was able to get feedback so quickly. But the idea of like having a support system, or like a deep infrastructure of, I would say like knowledge or connections in the industry, I did not start there. I would say I started small. I remember having like every single, very similar to what you see now, like all the paintings in the background. I was in a smaller apartment, but all the paintings were just like hanging up in my bedroom.
That's truly amazing. Just so much comes up for me. One, I have it that it definitely was not luck. You know, the theme of this show is structured and based, and the foundation is Juneteenth.
Mm-hmm.
Have it that it's part of what was for you through your family, just what you shared about your family, what everyone is up to, who they are, and what you've done with your own life, being that first generation going to college and kind of completing all of your goals, setting goals. I have it that you're supported. You may not be supported by people in the industry, but you're supported by your ancestors, the ones that are both not with us anymore. And then you're just your family lineage that is still here with us. And you're so blessed to have so many of them still there, nurturing and pouring into you. So tell us really, you shared a lot about how you got into the art world. But what is it like? Tell some of us out there, I'm sure that there are a lot of artists that are similar to you that may have a lot of paintings, but maybe hide them from the world and keep them from the world. Who knows? I have it that maybe part of it is that it's part of the African American experience, and wondering, will you be received, and anything else that could come up when, we're going through those mind movies that stop us from like putting ourselves out there in the world. So share a little bit about what the experience has been for you being an African American artist.
I guess I'll talk about it. You said a few things. The thing that I reacted to most immediately was this idea of like what stops us sometimes. And I think that single-handedly is still one of the biggest things that I would say slows me down in my career. And I think I've had a fantastic career. I've loved every single moment of it. I would not have even dreamed of this when I was like 12 or 16 or 18 or 25, right? But still, that idea of like, will I be received? Will my work find a place or a home or an audience? I think is a constant discipline or practice for myself, and that I'm always like suggesting to other artists around me that, we have to create from an inner place, not a place of, audience or performance or feedback, but a place where, if the art heals me first, then it's already done its job because it healed one person. Then if it heal another person, now, it's getting bigger than the actual idea that it started with. But starting really, really, really like honing in on that idea of like starting small and like centering self in the work such that you don't let too many outside forces knock you off your course or your journey. And again, I don't think that's ever a thing that like we can perfect. I think it's a day by day thing, because as we take on bigger challenges, new projects, or even get more visibility, we start feeling like there's even more pressure to please or to, have a positive reaction from your audience, or to, be innovative in a way that people haven't thought of. And the day-to-day job is always the same. Show up at the canvas, put some paint down, express yourself, and then call it. And if you keep that process going pretty consistently, again, the work piles up. People start seeing it in the discipline. They start seeing it in the commitment, and the skill set gets there. But that imposter syndrome, I think, is what we call it. It does always come up. I think that's probably one of the most challenging things about being an African-American artist. Being in finance and being in art, I think Du Bois called it the double consciousness that we have to have as a Black person in America. That was always another interesting idea, because on the one hand, I realized that there's a world outside of me that doesn't look like me, doesn't think like me, isn't worried about the people that are around me, the stories that I'm telling, or the places that I've been. But these are the people that kind of control, or for better or worse, like have the most influence in communities or in different cities in the world. And then you have this group of people that's creating culture, creating stories, who the entire construct or society that we have is like actually built on, that I'm like connected to, that I resonate with, that we seem to speak fluidly with one another, but the resources aren't there because of, again, historic or systemic woes. So for me particularly, being like this African-American artist, there's always been this tension between like, how do I combine the experience of adding resources, telling stories, creating infrastructure, and making sure that we're preserved, we're empowered, and that we're uplifted in the work that I'm creating. I said a lot of words to say that being African American and an artist is challenging, but I think that it's a natural thing. It's a natural thing, especially given like the story in America. Like, Black people have to be so creative. Like, everything we do day by day, hour by hour, like, we're just creative people. So now just doing that bigger and louder, more unapologetically is the challenge. That's my task.
I love that. I definitely agree with the latter statement fully. Anything that we do, whether it's going to college, being that first generation college student, whether it's parenting, whatever it is, it's everything for us. I have it in this country is definitely a tad bit more of a challenge, just because of the blocks that are, there, that are built into this country. And I like the way, did you say systemic woes?
Mm-hmm.
Of that. I like that because it's releasing. It actually makes me feel a little bit less traumatized. you know, because we use the word, a lot of people use systemic racism, and that just, it feels so heavy, and it feels so like it's hard. It makes it so much harder to get away from, and I don't feel healing in that space. But when you said that systemic woes, I was like, that is a very, I'm gonna actually borrow that and put that in my box.
And you know why I say that? Because when this is what happens for me, right? When you say, what does it mean to be African American artist? When I say systemic racism, I'm like, oh, it's because I'm Black. This is why they won't do this, why they won't do that. Then if I think about it from like a capitalistic structure, and it's like, oh, they don't want to accept me because I don't have money or influence or the network. Or then if I'm, identifying as a woman or they, them, or anything else, then there's gender. And it's all these different things that we know that we can highlight easily. And then there's other things that I know that are going on that I just don't know. So I know that it's a whole, I realize that the system is something that needs to be improved upon. And when we think about it as like, this is the win that we're given for our sale, I don't know, it's like a bit of the challenge and responsibility for us to learn how to navigate through it while like challenging it to be better.
I love that. I love that, because what comes up for me is when you started, I was like, yeah, because it has when you use the systemic racism, it also has a heaviness of accusatory energy, which is a lot harder to grow from, and only allows that imposter syndrome to deepen itself and root itself within you even deeper, if that's the scope that you're looking from. I'm that what comes up for me when you said that there are things that you don't even know about yet, I'm like, yeah, because wait until you become a parent, if you plan to become a parent. I can recall sharing at the award luncheon at the very end about how we need mentors in our neighborhoods, in the communities, and how much we need people to give back to the children and spend time with the children. And I would have never thought, growing up my whole life, it was like I heard friends, yeah, I got a big brother, I got a big sister, from the program. And, and this is no slight to the program, because once I really understood what was going on, it was just the lack of support in the neighborhood that I lived in. So they were only saving that support for people that were in dire need of that support, kids that were at high risk. And my child wasn't considered at high risk enough. And that was very disappointing. That's not something I would have thought that I would have had to face. So definitely there are always systemic woes that are in the blinders. So I think that really just, it frees us up. And like you said, it allows us to actually come up with action plans. Wording is everything. Even earlier when you mentioned about the math, and you said a lot of times we understand things, but we think we don't. A lot of times it's language for me. I don't know if this is everyone's experience in the world, but if the language is a little intimidating, or if I don't understand the words, give me the problem, show me the problem all day long. I'll figure it out. I can figure it out. But the words, the quadrants, and I'm just something about the words. And yeah, I can understand quadrants, of course, but something about it just kind of shuts me down, being that I used to love math, but I don't anymore. And it's like, no, I'm just ready to go into a little corner and hide. But yeah, a lot of times it's about understanding, knowledge, getting ourselves out there and putting ourselves out there and finding out, even if it's the hard way, finding out the hard way. So I do want to share that you do have a comment.
Okay.
From Miss Dolores Jackson on YouTube, and she says, wonderful, be brave in your talent. And I love that. Because I hear a lot of bravery in your share, just bravery in who you are as a young man in this world and how you're moving, setting up a botanical garden on your roof and all this good stuff. It's a beautiful thing. So tell us about your art and how, like, what is your medium? What do you use? Are you an oil painter? Let's talk a little bit about your art. Tell us about your art. And if you're able to move around, I'm not sure if your space is like, could you take the phone and kind of show us some stuff, or you could also share your Instagram and tell us where to go. But I would love to see some of that up close and personal.
Yeah, I'll definitely do both. So the artwork, it's zooming all the way out. I always tell people I lead with I'm an artist with a big A, not a little a. So I'm an artist as a profession, right? I create, I tell stories, I communicate ideas, I solve problems. Like that, when I think artist, that I think from like the largest concept possible. When I think about artists as a job, I'm most prolifically known for my paintings. I do a lot of acrylic paint on canvas, a lot of portrait work, and I focus a lot around I would say Black stories, somewhere between civil rights, community leaders, a lot of things that are like very politically charged, and then other things that are more, again, arts for art's sake. So me doing portraits of like my favorite musicians, people who inspired me throughout my creative process. Basquiat's one of my favorite artists. So like portraits of Basquiat in different places doing funny things. And overall, like very bright and expressionistic work. Always making sure to communicate some type of just light and vibrancy and brilliance through the painting. So even over my, I guess my left shoulder, I have a painting that, as you can see, is like a lot of different colors. And hold on, I'll try not to mess anything up. Let's see. I'm still here. Can you hear me? All right, so we'll do the tour. So this is one that's kind of recent work. That as I started working in the garden, I did a little bit more work thinking about like what a bouquet would look like on canvas. And this is one that is a little bit mixed medium, kind of outside of my normal range of work. But this
I
one,
love that. I see so much in that piece. I actually saw a woman in that piece. I don't know if you see her, but she's there. She's there. Do you like so up to the right hand corner?
mm-hmm.
The splotch of white kind of looks like a face a bit, and then her just like the front part of her body, and like she's melted in with the bouquet of the galaxy of bouquets.
Yeah. I like that. I'm gonna have to take that name, the Galaxy of Bouquets.
Kyra, we have a Kyra Lim in the chat. She says she can see the woman too.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna have to go back and look at it. This one is to the point around like aspirational art for myself, art for art's sake. I was pretty excited. Jay-Z is one of my favorite rappers, so you know, if anybody has any qualms with that comment, we could talk about it in the DMs. But was very excited to think about this idea of like Jay-Z and his influence on art and music. And then I have Rihanna in here, J. Cole in here, and then Kanye in the back. These are all artists that now own a whole like corner or sector of the market. And despite what we can say about Jay-Z's music for one thing or another, like this picture for me helps to capture this idea that, again, his influence over the entire hip hop genre is massive. And let's see.
It's like, so, you know, I always say that things from whence we came, you know, that we'll never get another Malcolm, we'll never get another Martin, we'll never get another, like right now, we won't have the Black Panther Party that we had back then. But that's the energy that I'm getting from that painting is like today's group of like fighting back and getting what they deserve from the system. Especially with what's going on with Adidas right now and Kanye and fighting for their rights. To me, this is like, you know, right now, you know, I guess some would say maybe Black Lives Matters was supposed to be that, but not to me. To me, this is an embodiment of like what our parties look like today.
What it looks like for us to like actually take back resources, take back stories, take back narratives.
knock down
After
doors,
given agency,
go
you know,
into spaces that they don't expect to see us, starting businesses, becoming the first female billionaire, all of that good stuff. I see it.
Yep.
I see
Or
it.
even with Rihanna, like this idea of her starting a campaign that was actually inclusive, and her forcing the big fashion houses to think about this idea that, you know, you guys got me into the company for this one particular idea of beauty, but again, I'm going to open this up. Like, I did not come here to capitalize on my platform. I came here to open this up so that we have a platform. And at least that's, like I said, what I get out of it. And I hope that other people, again, receive that.
I definitely see the storytelling in your art. I'm like, I could probably spend a bit of time on each one of your paintings and probably, so I think, so I was exposed to art as a, I mean, let me stop. We were all exposed to art with the Cosby Show.
Mm-hmm.
So then as like a young, late teenager, early young woman, I don't know if you ever heard of, there used to be this company called Artistic Expressions, and sort of how people had Tupperware parties and jewelry parties and things like that. My mom used to host these painting parties. So I started collecting art. I probably bought my first piece at 19, but my mom bought that piece, the funeral procession that's in the Cosby Show. So that's one of the pieces in her house. But I started to fall in love with art, and really, it's something that a lot of people in our community, we don't really understand the value in it and see it. But when you really stop and look at an amazing piece, like that woman, she has really been speaking to me this whole entire time that we've been sitting here and fellowshipping together. So once you got up on it to actually see it closer, she kind of fades away the closer you get to it. But the further you go away, so even getting to see that scope of how the eye changes at a distance, and how when you come up closer, or when you actually hear the artist's expression of what this piece actually is to them, art is just so freaking deep. I just love it. I'm so honored to be here with you today, Robert. And and then, like I said, speaking to you, introducing your name, and having Athenia pass off that award to you, I had no idea what the art looked like. Know that you and Brother Tuggle are amazing, super amazing. But yeah, so question for you: do you do commission pieces? Do you commission?
I do. I think that it's a important part of my process. I know earlier I said for the individual side, on like how to keep going as an artist, you got to find a place that, you know, is just yours, that you're creating from, that, you know, that every single one of these pieces, it matches the Robert standard. And then after that, you know, that's where the bravery comes in. So like, once I say that I like this, it's good enough for me, that means I would appreciate it on my wall. And if they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. But I do commission work. With that being said, it's like I do commission work because I think it's something important about double checking your assumptions, right? There's you said it perfectly. The eye is a wonderful instrument. And I could sit in here all day and look at all of my paintings and think that I have the right idea. But one of the things that I've noticed is that because I have my paintings on the wall, what I'll do sometimes is like copy old work. I won't even notice it. I'll put the same colors in, I'll add like the same form. And sometimes that works well because I'll create a collection. Other times it gets me in a rut because everything is in this same, like, let's say black, white, and blue, back. And then I stop liking it, but I don't know why I keep painting it or why I stop liking the paintings. I forget that the color is even being like absorbed into it. So when I hear somebody else come in and say, hey, I like your work because of, are you able to do this for me? It pulls me out of the day-to-day grind and gets me back in like communion with the people that I'm actually trying to express to.
I love that. I was thinking what came up for me is that it's kind of also developing your style. So sometimes,
Mhm.
you know, I think through that way of being, sometimes the things that we're hard on ourselves about are the things
Mhm.
that are actually shining a light on us. So for
Mhm.
me, like if I saw that color pattern or if I saw certain things and I'm down here in Atlanta, so maybe I'm in a business building or in an art center or somewhere and I see a piece and I can go, hey, that's Robert's piece.
Mhm.
I think that sometimes over time that's what's happening. I find myself, I too design jewelry and that happens a lot with me as well. And it'll be like, but this looks like that piece. But at the
You
end of the day, it's
you mind
still
if I add one more thing?
of course.
So with that, I think it's, don't get me wrong, just because I like the conversation doesn't mean I budge. So it still may be the same blue, black, and white, but it's interesting to hear what other people have to say. And I think that's where the commission part comes in too. So, um, like you said, on the development of style, I think when I first started off, I thought that it was something that I had to research and come up with myself and say, this is the Robert Newman style. But similar to your point, like people started coming up to me saying that, no, I recognize your style. And I'm like, I don't have one. I think I'm just doing like all kind of stuff. I'm just scattered. um, and I heard one of my favorite artists, Derek Forges, say at a speech he was giving before that, especially for young artists, it's not something that we need to worry about. He said that the style is something that the viewer gives. As an artist, yourself, you should be fluid, as fluid as possible, always adapting, always innovative, always like challenging whatever the old idea was that you came up with. But the viewer, through just like their perspective, their kind of positioning with the creative process, they'll always come back and say, "Oh, I see the through line. I see the through line." And for the artist, you'll. What I found is that I started finding out very early into the commission process what stuff I would budge on and what stuff I wouldn't. So if somebody said like, "There's too much blue," I'm like, you gotta go to somebody else. I like that blue. That's on purpose. Then they say, but I want more color. I'm like, okay, I can have more color and I'll leave the blue in, right?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah. No,
So here, what I hear is it kind of tapping into what you shared earlier about just doing,
mhm.
just doing, just keep making art, keep making the art, and over the time, your style will develop on its own. You don't have to. It's not something that you have to put a whole lot of work in. Like you said, you don't have to research it. Like your mentor said, you don't have to make that the focus, or it's not important right now. Because over
Mhm.
time, as we continue to show up, like with a lot of things in life, as you continue to show up, you become developed. I also heard that through the commission pieces, you're able to expand yourself as an artist and expand who you are as an artist. Is
Yeah,
that okay?
yeah.
Beautiful.
Because I won't ask myself the same questions, right? I
Hmm.
could do as much as I can. I could research as many things as possible. I could talk to as many people and do the interviews. But when you come to me and tell me the interaction that you have with your son or your daughter and why you want that painting to look a certain way, I can't get that anywhere else. That's not a researchable fact. That's not a story that, is mass market, but this is the one that holds us all together. You know what I mean? And it's like being able to get that idea solidified on canvas for somebody. That's something that's going back to when I say I'm an artist with a big A, the storyteller piece. That's something that I've always been like passionate about, and now that like the commission piece is something like I feel very, very like honored, but also like it's a big responsibility
Yeah, I
because
can
it's
get
like somebody saying like, here's my thought, here's my feeling, and this is something that I want you to help preserve.
got that. Got that. I love that. So Kyra, in the chat on YouTube, she said that she considers doing makeup as an art, which I totally, especially what makeup has grown to today.
Mhm.
Um, today's makeup is what used to really be production makeup, and now it's like, I was in my cousin's wedding a few years ago, and I was sitting in that chair, my face was beat, but I was like, how do people do this every day? I could never be like a actual real on stage person. It was just a lot. But what she did with my face, oh my gosh. And Kyra, the things that I see, there's this makeup line that they do all kind of different designs, and I forgot the name of the makeup line, but it's a very intense neon colors. And literally watching, there's a young woman that what I want to have when I do my next photo shoot is Africa painted like on one side of the face. um, but yeah, so she was saying that she's surprised when people can distinguish when she does someone else's makeup, because they said they just know it from the style, but it was unintentional, and that it was unintentional. But her makeup style, like people can tell her makeup style. There are so many different modes of art out here in this world. It's really amazing. Really, really, really amazing. So share with us, what are your price points? So if someone was coming to you to get a commission piece or wanted to purchase any of the pieces on your, first of all, are the pieces on the wall for sale? Talk to the community a little bit about that, about how they can attain some of your art.
Yeah, as Jamie said earlier, we'll hopefully share all the links, the websites, the social media stuff, so you guys can keep up. And of course, like, purchase some of the work. I have original works available for sale through my website, and prints available as well. And hopefully over the next couple of months, I'll develop a few more products. I've worked in the past with different design companies, so got a few T-shirts and jackets and wearables out there. In the future, I aspire to do a few more things like books and even small stuff like this, like mugs. So I'll definitely keep everybody updated. So follow me on Instagram, and keep up on the website. For the price points, the prints are more reasonable, I would say. These are the ones that and they range in size from anywhere between like 18 by 24, like this one you guys see over here on my right hand shoulder with Malcolm X, to much larger, like 24 by 36, and those range from anywhere between like $50 to like $200, depending on like what collection they're in, if it's a limited edition, or if it's some other, particular special feature for what's going on. The original work, there's a huge, I would say, range and scope there. So there are smaller works that go for anywhere between like, a couple of $100 to, massive pieces that, were centerpieces of collections that go for well over, a couple of thousand. But again, all those pieces are available through the website. And going back to like how important I feel like the commission process is, I always make sure to say that there's a price point that works for everybody, and I'm reasonable. The commission thing is something that, again, I enjoy doing with the community, working with folks and like helping them to express their ideas. And with each, price point and range, I create something that is high quality for each one. So for anybody that's interested in reaching out, same thing, go to the website, reach out on the contact us, and we'll be sure to follow up.
I love that. I can hear and feel the passion and the integrity in just who you are as a person and in what you're actually doing. I hear the passion in the commission pieces. I definitely look forward to having your piece. But I have it, honestly, Robert, that your journey has only just begun. The world is going to know your name. I have it that it just popped up. I was like, yeah, your wearable stuff is going to happen. It's going to happen with one of those 4 people behind you on that wall that we spoke about. It's going to happen. It's coming. It's definitely coming, and keep up the good work. Something that had came up for me earlier that I would love to discuss with you in the future, or if you and Athenia could discuss it, I would love to bring you and Robert 1 and 2 on, since we are so blessed to have the
Mm.
three still on this earth. And I love the
Yeah.
comment about what you shared about what you guys talk about a lot. I would love to have
Mhm.
you guys. I think that that is a just a beautiful story that could be told and shared with the community, and inspiring.
Yeah, I got to get them their technology game together, but I
Yeah.
think they'd
We,
be happy to do it.
all right, super. I would definitely be game if they're game. And is there anything else that you would like to share with the community before we go today?
Um, I guess as a closing thought, I always uh, go back and forth with this, especially as an artist, but I think it transcends art. I think this is something I think about with business, with entrepreneurship, with careers for companies, and anything else. There's a very, 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 very important place for passion.
Mhm.
And I think everybody should always, hold that in high regard when we hear folks say like we're passionate individuals, or that you have a certain passion um, for a certain craft, or for a certain discipline. Um, but the thing that I found out like over the past, I guess now 6 years, so since 2016, um, is that commitment is a thing that spins a little bit further. Um, I heard somebody say before, where talent is lacking, consistency usually makes up the difference.
Ashe.
I love that so much, because I would never tell anybody that I was the most talented artist, that I was the most brilliant artist, um, that I was even the best artist in the world. But if somebody said, "How many hours have you put in?" I'd smile and say, "A lot,
A lot.
a lot." And then I don't have to think about it, because the hours they speak for themselves. Those hours in the gym, they speak for themselves. The gains speak for themselves. The learnings, the connections, anything and everything that you kind of pick up along the way, it sets in, and it has a ROI. It shows up. So I'm always, where passion and commitment collide, that's where we I think find our max, or our treasure, or our self actualization. Um, But I always try to emphasize with folks that as soon as you find the passion, like, figure out where and how you could like add in that commitment piece. Figure out what it is that you could commit to over the long term, and by all means, like, the world is yours after that.
Ashe, I love that. That I think that that's a perfect statement, and I'm gonna let us close out right there, because that really, it's like ringing through my body right now. A person that does not make the proper time for my art. So I could understand and hear exactly what you're saying. It's like it's speaking to me highly. And I just love that statement. I definitely will be sharing that with my young man, and this live as well. I share often with him the ones that I really think that he'll have something to take away at 22 years old.
Mhm.
I think that it's like, this is definitely one that I'll be sharing. It's been an honor chatting with you today, and I look forward to debriefing in the background when we're.
Likewise. Thank
Thank
you all.
All right, community. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation as much as I did, and have some takeaways for you. Robert's information is in the comment section. Please do check it out. Please check out his artwork. Please commission your piece. Buy a print, get something, support, support, support. Support is a verb, in the words of the Village Market Atlanta. So next week we will be joined by Ashley Marrero. Um, and she'll be there talking about Kente Cones. That's the products, her service, goals, and advice for many aspiring entrepreneurs. Thank you for being with us for another edition of our weekly Lunch and Learn. See you next week. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Good afternoon, Juneteenth family. Welcome to another weekly Lunch and Learn.
In terms of business, if you have a dream, go for it. Pursue it. Work hard at it, because with anything that you want to do, it's gonna come hard work. You know, if you don't put the hard work, if you don't put the time into it, it's not gonna flourish the way you want to.
Maybe advice for anybody who's looking to start a business, like just do it. Start off small and then kind of expand. I know sometimes it can be overwhelming, but like once you're in it, you'll be like, oh my gosh, why didn't I do this long time ago?
Love you. Tell yourself, I love me too. I love you, Omena. Love you. When you open your heart and your mind, you're opening up to your blessing.
Yeah.